What's going on, guys? AJ back with another YouTube video. Today we're going to do kind of a how-to video on how to set up your front hubs with the DRP bearing spacers. So a lot of people put way too much grease in their bearings. So I'm gonna say probably 70% of people need to hear this. Even if you're not a legend racer, people put way too much grease inside their bearings. So I'm gonna walk through how what I've found is probably the cleanest and best way to do it, because you still can get basically a whole season out of bearings without having to take them apart and re-grease them. So we're going to get all the stuff together. I'm going to kind of show you how to set it up, and then we're going to get into it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some parts cleaner and spray everything off, including the bearings, just because those have oils and stuff that they come with, and you're going to get that off before you start putting everything together. So I got my bearing spacers here. I need to get the Allen wrench to undo the screw, and then I'm just going to spray everything off, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. So now that I have that all sprayed off, what you want to do is you want to, since you're setting these up with the bearing spacers, you want to pre-fit everything before you grease it, just to make sure everything spins freely and it doesn't have any end play before you go and drive the seal in it, because once you do that, you can't get it back out. So you're gonna slide the bearing on, slide the spacer on. This is just kind of rough guesstimate right now. Then you're gonna slide the inner bearing on, and then you can go ahead and crank it down tight, because the idea with these bearing spacers is that you don't have to worry about end play. So you can see that spins pretty freely. There's a little bit of play, so I'm going to take it back off, adjust it. It's a 3/32 Allen wrench that you're working with on the Allen screw with the DRP spacer. Pop that back off. Just using some hubs that came on the car, so that's why they're not all fresh and new. But so since there was a little bit of play, I'm gonna lengthen this lengthen it just a touch to try to eliminate that. It doesn't take very much. I gotta, where'd my screw go? So one thing with these little screws that hold the length in place is you don't want to lose them. So if that doesn't fix it, then we'll go the opposite way. So get that snug, throw it back on there. Put this hub back on. There is a torque rating on these, but I always just tighten it down with a adjustable wrench since I don't have the size that this nut is for some reason in all my tools. So you see how there's too much end play now? That means I need to go shorter, or the opposite way of what I just did. Take that screw out without losing it. So one thing, once you start using the spacers that have already been preset, is that the screws like to eat up the threads on the spacer itself. So you have a little bit of a hard time trying to make sure there's no play in it. So I'm gonna go the opposite way. And this can take you a couple tries to get it right. So if you find that it's taking a little bit, that's completely normal. Okay, so there's no play, but you see how the rotor won't spin freely at all? That means I have it too far the other way. So the key is to find a happy medium so that everything spins freely without any grease on it. And then you can go ahead and tighten your spacer back up. So you gotta lengthen this just back a touch. Hopefully this is the last time I have to do that. So there's no play, but I think I'm gonna lengthen it just a touch more because it's spinning okay, but it should be spinning freer than that. I got just like an 1/8 turn more. Which may even be too much. A lot of people will use a micrometer to get these set right. That's actually what DRP recommends you use, but if you don't have a micrometer, this is kind of how you're supposed to do it. So even that was just a little bit too much. And then once these are set, you should be able to, if you ever have to take these off to re-grease them, you should be able to not have to mess with it at all, which is nice. But the reason I'm making this video is because there's not a ton of videos out there showing you how to properly grease the bearings and set these DRP spacers up properly. So no play, and it's spinning free. So now I can take that off. You also can use a hub end play gauge if you want to, but since you're tightening this down as much as you can, I think there is a specific torque rating, I don't know if I said that or not, that you can torque these to, but I don't have the size nut that is required, so that's why I use an adjustable wrench. Alright, I'm going to go back to the table and I will show you guys how to properly grease the bearings. So, the best way to grease bearings that I've researched and looked up and been told how to do it is you get a syringe, which you can get a cheap one on Amazon for anywhere from $5 to $10. This one that just came in the kit I was using. So I use the Daylube performance grease for the bearings. If I can get it off here. So all you have to do is make sure it comes with a little cap, so you, like this, so you just have to make sure it comes with a little cap that you can get inside the bearings with. So what I've been told is you should go between every other roller. So you just inject it in the bearing until you see it come out the bottom. And then to the very top. So see, that's not much grease at all. And then you skip this gap right here and then go to the next one. Then you repeat that all the way around until you get all the way around the bearing. And then you do that on the same one for the outside bearing. And then when I get that all done, I'll come back and show you guys. You want to make sure that the bearing spacer is inside the bearing before you put the outer or the inside bearing in before you drop the seal in. So I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse while I grease the rest of these and then come back with you guys in a hot second. So, to put these in, you want to drop your bearing spacer in after you obviously make sure your screw is tight in there. So you just drop that in there, put your, this is the finished product of the bearing. You see how it's every other roller. That's just what the research I've done has said that you should do, and you should be able to get anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 laps out of it, which for most people is a decent amount of time in the season. So you drop that in there. I just have basic seals. These are the coated ones from Go. So I got the seal driver from them. So it fits right on top of there. I'm gonna make sure everything is semi-straight before you start pounding it in here. Not straight. Try this again. Alright, so that's all in there. I am going to check these screws before I do my final put together on this. Just take them off, put some more Loctite on them, just because those are screws you don't necessarily check after every race. So putting Loctite on those just assures that they're going to stay in place and that you're not going to have a major issue when you're on track. Then we'll walk back over to the car and I'll show you how to get these on here and be the finished product, and we'll go from there. Okay, now that those are all tightened on there and I know they're not going to come off, you just slide this back on here. You gotta kind of push the spacer back in there just a little bit. Then you take your outer bearing, slide it up in there nice and good. And then you'll have to work the grease in just a little bit. Once you get it on here fully. As you can see, there's no end play here. Make sure that's snug. Then you just kind of work the grease in. And from all the research I've done, this way of doing it, you shouldn't have to re-grease them very often. So you'll put your little Kessel nut on here. Actually, I forgot a nut. Hopefully I don't have to redo this now. But I don't think I should. So your flat washer, your nut, no play, and it spins. See how free that spins even with the grease on it? The idea is that with too much grease, with cornering forces on race cars, it will basically just create way too much heat, and you're basically just counteracting what you should be doing. So, find a cotter pin somewhere. Cotter pin there. And you just bend it up, obviously, and then you're ready to smack your dust cap on there. So I just bend it up and smack it, tap it on there. And then what I'll do is I'll actually put some tape on it just so it doesn't come off there, because as some of you may know, these dust caps come off quite easy. So next step is going to be putting caliper back on there. Got these zip ties that I have on here. Had those on there to hold it up. I mean, I don't think it really matters if you go over or under the bars here. I've always been told to go over. So I'm gonna take this C-clip off. And take the brake pads out of here. Then you're gonna have to get a brake shim kit, which I have behind me here. And you wanna make sure that the rotor is in the center of your caliper. If not, you're just gonna wear your brake pads uneven and it's gonna cause a lot of headache. So, looks like actually pretty close without any spacers. Which with new cars and stuff, you're gonna obviously have some stuff that you find that's spot on and some that's not. So it looks like it's pretty centered in there. And this is still spinning pretty freely for having like grease in it. Just because that's what, like I said, less grease is gonna push cylinders back in. Just a touch, which I have a C-clamp for that. Just use a little C-clamp to push the cylinders back in, so it does it relatively evenly. And I have some brake pads that were new that I'm going to throw on here. You just slide those in the little slot. Then you're going to take your C-clip, throw it back in here. And you're going to have a little bit of brake drag, but you can kind of see here that the rotor's in the middle there, and it spins freely. So that is that's basically all there is to it. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully that helps some people who haven't done the Willwood setup yet change over. I mean, it's super easy. The Willwood calipers seem to be super easy to maintain. I haven't had a ton of issues with them, so I would say just get them rebuilt every off season and you should be all set to go. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.